why are not more people earning a living? Why are there not like just massive stables of coaches that work in profitable gym that are earning a living, changing people's lives? It's kind of weird when you say it out loud. It's just like, I'm changing. Like, why would there not be an overwhelming group of people in a profession that literally changes people's lives, that saves lives, that reverses the tides of chronic disease that we have in the United States?
I'll tell you.
Why? I think it's multifaceted, but the question is something we should be asking ourselves every day. Like, why the fuck is that the case?
You want the answer? Because I have it.
Give it to me, bro.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. It takes balls. That's what it is. And I'm going to explain myself. No one, as you're growing up when you're a kid, is like, hey, maybe one day you're going to be a coach and you're going to help people change their lives. Like, you'll be a doctor, you'll be a lawyer, you'll be a teacher, you'll be a nurse. Like, there's all of these professions out there. And no one says, like, my parents, to this day, I'll be 43 in a couple weeks. When are you getting a real job? Meanwhile, I've made more money in my career than any of my parents. One was a doctor, a dentist. Like, he made good money, don't get me wrong. And he sold his practice and his land that he owned, my father I'm talking about. So he probably did pretty well. But my mother was a teacher. My stepfather, had a job for, I believe he worked for like Prodigy back in the day, AT&T, my stepmother, etc. Like, and they're still questioning. I'm like, I've written a book, Mom. Like, go buy it on Amazon. Like, we coach dozens, hundreds of people. Like, I've traveled the world doing this thing. I've owned half a dozen or more businesses. I think that's the big disconnect. Like, people don't equate this is professional and this can be. It's not at the point yet. People look at you, me, and a handful of others out there in this space as the minority. And until that shifts to, hey, that's an option, I can achieve that as well, it will continue to be, well, this is a transitional job, or, you can do this out of college, but eventually you'll need to get a real job. I truly think that's what it is. And that's kind of like, yes, it needs to, but I don't think it requires professionalization. If anything, I think it potentially requires less, because you need people like you and me. And I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant, but you need people like us that are just like, hey, we are unapologetically who we are. And because those are the people that are going to make big changes in this world, right? Like, you and I read a lot. We listen to a lot of self-help books and biographies. Like, none of them are like, okay, then I went to high school and then I graduated college in 4 years and then I went on to my postdoc degree. It's always like, I dropped out of college and started this firm, or I did this and that. Like, those are the people that are going to make waves and make changes. And I think for the listeners, like, it has to be scary. It has to have that risk reward. And you have to be willing to put in the work. I mean, I graduated college in 2000, and it wasn't until at least 2009, probably 10, that I felt confident in how much money. I mean, I was really, I wasn't struggling. I wasn't on the streets, but I mean, driving old cars, living in the ghettos, like living in basement apartments. Eventually I bought a house, way smaller than, anyone desires their home to be back in the day, but it was something, it was just like a dream that I never gave up on. And I think that's really what it comes down to. If you want to be successful, you have to be willing to take that risk, and you have to be willing, to put it all on the line and go against the grain.